Hey y'all, David Daniel Ducker here, and today I wrote a scene in which Jamila rejoins the cult. She pretends that she's still on their side, and she meets with the ancient masters guarding the doorway into the outer void. She convinces them to mutate her and her dragon Kerferes into these hideous abominations so she can use this power against them. So this is kind of the first half of the chapter, and the second half needs to be Iode and Cleonike, our other heroes who have split off from Jamila at this point. It needs to be them preparing for this final battle, the confrontation. Um, Especially, I want to push the romance between Shinsuke and Cleonike. These two people from very different cultures have come together with a common enemy and found a lot of common bonds. And we've had, many chapters to build up this romance. The problem is that in draft one, I haven't developed that storyline in great detail. So now we have a scene where I really need to write it and I need to have the climax of this, but I haven't written a lot of the lead up to it. This is my first draft. So in order for me to write this climax and then the next chapter, which will be the climax of the whole novel, the battle, I feel like I need to go back and I need to do my first developmental edit on this project, and I need to do some rewriting and mainly add material and bulk it out and explore the characters of Shinsuke and of Togi a little more. In writing this draft, I've got a good hand on Cleonike and Iode and Jamila. Jamila really emerged in this draft because in the first draft she was pretty minor. Like, not the first draft, but the first outline. Very minor kind of character. Just and then in thinking of like what can I do with this really minor character? Like, I don't even know what to do with them. And in thinking about that, she really developed and grew, and the setting grew around her, being the first Lemurian dragon rider, and how the oppression of her people led her to evil ways. So oppression created this evil. And then, of course, Cleonike will say, no, this just proves we should have oppressed them because they are evil, and that's why we always oppress them. And I know I want Shinsuke to be the character who says, like, that's BS. It doesn't make any sense. You made her this way by treating her like an evil person. You turned her into an evil person. And that's why racism is bad and imperialism is bad and colonialization is bad and all that stuff. This is part of the moral of our story, which is a heavy-handed moral. And I know, it's very woke, but that's what we're doing. We're getting it a little bit political in our Dragon Riders and giant magical armor story. As they fight the Shuggoths, we got to get some political heat in there, and now we have to get some romance in there as well. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do my developmental edit, and I'm going to rewrite a lot of the scenes with Shinsuke and Togi and kind of get more flavor and depth out of them. And I have an idea of their characters and personalities, but I need that on the page. I need to write that into prose. So I don't know if the next video will be Today I Wrote. It might be Today I Edited or Today I Rewrote. So I don't know if I'm going to start retitling them or not as videos. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I've gone through my first draft right up to the pre-climax scene, the Dark Night of the Soul story beat. And now, in order to write the climax well, I think I need a lot more depth. Because if I don't have that, I can write the climax, but I'm going to end up rewriting it so extensively that I think it's more efficient to just go back and do my edits and rewrites at this point. So that's probably what I'm going to do. And if you've been watching along, then I haven't talked a lot about Shinsuke and Togi. And this is why, because I don't have them in great depth in my prose. I have ideas for their characters. You know, Shinsuke is basically the Lancer archetype. He's our Han Solo character, our Legolas character. He's a contrast to Cleonike. Togi is like his sidekick. It's like his Chewbacca or um, his Gimli. You know, this big, gruff, brutal kind of character who has a little bit of a soft spot. Eventually, starts to emerge. Slow build. And Togi's brutal and brutal and brutal and brutal, and then just a little hint of softness at the end. So I know what I want to do with them. I just haven't done it. I haven't written it yet. So that's what I'm probably going to do now or tomorrow or whenever I'm doing my writing. I try to write every day. And we'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned for the next video and what that looks like. And in the comments below, maybe this is a good time to talk about your process. This is how I do my draft 1 and then a dev edit and then draft 2 and rewrite and bulk the characters up slowly. That's what I do. You know, but what do you do? Everybody has their own process. You know, I underwrite and some people will overwrite. So I have very little detail. I'm only at like 15 or 16,000 words on my draft 1. And that's super light. And the last novel that I wrote, it was the same thing. Draft 1 was 20,000 words. And I'm not finished that one yet, but it's now at like 65 or 70,000 words because I've added layers and added layers and added layers, which is now what I'm doing here to this project. So what do? Do you start heavy? You write in great detail, and you end up with a, 200,000 word first draft, and then you pare it down and you cut away material, or do you do what I do and you start lean with a skeleton and then you build it up? So I'm curious about that. Do a video response, and I'm gonna leave you there. So until I see you again, David Daniel Ducker signing off.